Hello and good day to you. Hello and good day to you. Today's video, we are demonstrating the use of photographic image in making a border in our digital craft technique of 12 crafts of card making. We'll be demonstrating 3 different borders: vertical, horizontal, and diagonal. And then we'll progress to the handmade demonstration where we'll make the card. For this project, we'll need a photographic image, digital, graphics software. I'm using Affinity Designer, printer to print the card if you desire. When we are making the handmade card, we'll let you know what you need to make it. Open your software, click on File, Open. Locate the folder that your image is in. Select your image and click. If you can't see your image, you can just make sure that on the right hand side of the window that opens where your folder is, the file type is all documents. Select your image and click Open. The image is on the work surface. On the layer palette, you can see the background is, because it's JPEG, it has a padlock on it. Click on the padlock to release it. You can work without releasing the padlock. Let's create the card that we are going to design. To go to File, New. We're working on Designer Personal section of the Affinity software, Affinity Designer Software. So click on File, New. The type is Print. Page set custom. Document unit is in inches. And if you want the background to be transparent, then you can check it. Page width is 8. Height is 8. DPI is 300. If you don't want to print, you can make it 100 or 72. Bleed is 0. Click OK. This first technique, we are going to make horizontal border. Select the rectangle tool from the tool palette. Drag it across the work surface or your document. Select a color of choice from the color palette and let it fill it in. This XFM is an abbreviation for the transform palette. So click on it. That can work with the transform palette. I'm going to resize the rectangle that we just created to a perfect square. I'm going to make it 8 inches so that it fits our document. 8 by 8 inches, and the X and Y axis going to be 0 and 0. On the layer palette, right click on it, menu comes or appears, click on duplicate. Click on duplicate. Fill it with a color of choice. I'm going to fill it with white. You can resize it on the transform palette, or you can just use the control key on your keyboard or the shift key to resize it. So if you're going to use the control key on the keyboard, press the control key and drag, and you see it resize. Then you can line it properly. Here you can go into the transform layer and make sure it's the same size if you want it like that, if you have a certain size. Also, you can use the arrow key on your keyboard to move it. Oh, sorry, I'm just going to go to edit undo. You can use the arrow key on your keyboard to move it so that it fits properly. It gives a distance, as it tells you the distance between each. So the other one says 1. Okay. I'm going to make a mistake now. Okay. All right. Duplicate the white rectangle again and fill it with a color of choice. I'll fill it with green. With my control key, I'm just going to resize it. Press the control key and drag the cursor on the diagonal and then to resize it on 4 sides. Can go to the transform layer, make sure that it's the same size. And this green, I'll just make it 7.472 so that it matches. Then I'll arrange it. You can also use your grid to arrange to make sure it lines properly. Go to the layer palette, click on the red rectangle, right click on it and duplicate. On the menu above, click on move to front. If you can't see this icon here that says move to front, you can go to layer, arrange, move to front. Go to layer menu, arrange and move to front. Then you resize, just drag it to resize it to whatever size you want. You can also use the transform. Let's make this 2.5. The height of this rectangle 2.5. The width is alright, we'll leave the width like that. Layer palette, we duplicate this small rectangle again. This small red rectangle, I'll fill it with white. If you want it to match this white, the large white rectangle, then activate the white rectangle. You notice that the width is 7.673 inches. You can select it, click on it to select it, then you copy. You go to the layer palette, click on the white rectangle, the small white rectangle, then click on the transform palette and paste it into the width of it. It automatically resize it. Then you go back to the large white rectangle. The on the x-axis it is 0.164. Click on it to select it, to copy, then copy. Then you select the small white rectangle in the transform layer, place it there, paste it, and then you have it. It will make it line with a large white rectangle, line properly. In the layer palette, duplicate the small white rectangle and fill it with green. Now we're going to go to the large green rectangle. We need the width of it, so I'm going to copy the width as we did with the previous small rectangle. We'll copy the width of the large green rectangle. Then go to the layer palette, activate the small green rectangle. Go to the transform palette and paste it in the width of the small rectangle, green rectangle. Then we'll go back to the layer palette, go to the large green rectangle to activate it. Then go to the transform palette and select the x-axis of it, copy it, go back to the layer palette, go to the green rectangle, the small green rectangle, then go to the transform palette and paste it in the x-axis there of the small green rectangle. It lines properly. Sometimes you can go to alignment to do that. Layer alignment, layer menu, then you go to alignment and you can do that. Now we have a nice horizontal border that has been layered. We've matte it and we've layered it. Or we've matte and layered it. We'll go to the image here. We'll open our image or select our image. Go to edit, copy. And we'll come back to the document and we'll say edit and paste. If you notice the image is very large, you can resize by using the Ctrl key or the Shift key, but I'll use the Ctrl key. Press the Ctrl key on your keyboard and just drag on the diagonal of the image, one of the nodes on the diagonal, and here you have your image. You can make it larger, you can make it smaller, depend on you. Duplicate, right click on the image in the layer palette to duplicate it and make one invisible. Uncheck it. The one that is visible, select it or activate it and move it into the small green rectangle. Just drag it into the small green rectangle until on your work surface it appears as if it's been clipped into the image is being clipped into the rectangle. And here you have it. If you want to move the image, click on this play button here. It will drop down, it will reveal the image in its full form. You can select it and then you can move the image. You can move it up and you can move it down. You can move it to the side, and you can move it as you desire. I'm going to select the small rectangles together, and I'm going to click on group. You can right click on it to click on group, to group them. Want to duplicate it, and I don't want anyone to move, that's why. So right click on the grouped horizontal border that we've created, duplicate it, press the shift key on your keyboard. We want to move it down and we want it to be straight, that's why. Press the shift key on your keyboard and just move down straight. And here you have it. If you want to flip, click on the play button. Click on the other play button to reveal the image so that you can flip the image, or you can flip whatever design you desire. Then you can make your flip by using the layer transform. Click on layer menu. You can use the transform, or you can use the layer transform icons here on top. So now we have 9th border, but I want I want my sentiment in. You can type your sentiment in here. Before that, I forgot to change my color so that it matches. Although this color is nice, you can still go with it. But if you want to, you can change. I'll just leave this color. That will progress. You can use circle. You can use whatever shape you want, geometric shape that you desire. So I'm going to take on the ellipse or circle tool. Just going to drag it on top there. If you don't want to use the eyedropper tool to select the color, you can go to your swatch or swatches, and it will show here the recent colors that you've used. So click on the red. This is the red that we've been using. Just click on it, and we have so on the layer palette, I'm going to right click on it and duplicate the red ellipse. Fill it with white. Press the Ctrl key on your keyboard and resize it. Remember, if you have a certain size or the size you want it to be, you can click on the transform, activate it, click on the transform and resize it there. Then you duplicate again the white, and I'll fill it with the green. We can change the color of this green later. Then press the Ctrl key to resize it. Let me see if I want, just select the large green rectangle and let's see if we can go with this color we should change. I think let's just go with this color, that's fine. Okay, then select your text tool. If you can see your text tool, go to view, custom toolbar. No, sorry, it's going to be view, custom tools, not toolbar, custom tools, and you can drag and drop any text tool that you want. So we've taken this one before, and that's the one here. Anyone you don't want, you can drag it and remove them. You can drag and put, and now we have two. So I'll bring the one I took back. That's if you can't see your text too. So select the text tool, and the font I want to use is Appleboy BTN. I think I like that, and I'm just going to write happy birthday. I used the enter key to move into the next layer and kind of fill this sentiment topper that we made. Select the text and fill it a color of choice. Can fill it with white. I'll fill it with white and then right click on it to duplicate it and then fill it with red. Then the white, I'm going to duplicate it twice, one more time, sorry. And I'll move it about, let me try 5 to the left, 5 to the right. Sorry, 5 to the down, to the bottom and 5 to the right for the first one. Let's try 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's using the arrow key on your keyboard. Move 5 down, 5 step down, and move 5 step to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then activate the second white text that you made. You know, we made 2. The first one we just move 5 step down and 5 to the right. The second one we're going to move 5 step up and 5 to the left. I just want to add a kind of glow to the text. So here we have the first so here's our first horizontal technique for horizontal border. Let's go into the second technique. But before then, let's save our work. So I'll click on File, Save As. Made one before. I'll just go here and so I'll change this one from corner. I'll put border. I'm saving in Affinity format so that I can come back and change it the way I want to. Maybe there's something I want to change later on. I can do that. So I'll call this Photographic Border Technique 1 or Photographic Horizontal Border. Let me put horizontal. Border technique, border card technique 1. Okay, that's fine. And I'll click on Save. Let's make the second one. I'll go to File, New. We'll use the same setting as the first technique. Type is print, is inches. Page and width 8 inches, 300 dpi, because desire to print later on, and bleed is 0. Then you click on OK. So this second technique, we are designing a diagonal. We are using the image for a diagonal as a diagonal border. So select the rectangle tool and we just drag across. You can even use circle if you want to, but let's just use rectangle for this. When after this photographic card, we still have other in the digital craft. We still have to do vector cards, so we can do those ones in those digital painting. The technique of digital painting, technique of vector cards. So we have all those ones coming up, and let's just play as we go on. All right, the swatches, I need the red, so I'll go to the color and pick a, should I pick red this time? Let me pick a green. Okay, so take the green and we'll come to the layer palette. We'll fill it with a green, the rectangle. Then we'll come to the layer palette. We'll make sure we activate it, the rectangle, the filled green rectangle, green field. Then the width and height will make it 8, and the X and Y axis will make them 0, so that it fits. And on the layer palette, we'll duplicate and fill it with white. You can fill it any other color, but I just want to fill it with white. Press the shift key and just drag on one end of the rectangle, and you will notice that it resizes on only 2 sides. Let me remove this view grid. Okay, you notice it resizes on 2 sides. Then we'll go to the green rectangle and I'm going to duplicate that and move it to front using the icons here, or you go to layer, arrange, move to front. In the tool palette here, select the node tool, and above here there's a menu. Then you notice that menu for the mono tool is up here. Sorry, I need to put this down. Click on convert to curves, and if you notice, it has changed to curve. So if you drag it and move to this convert here, you can change it to any kind of curve you want it to be. You can play around and decide what you want it to be. So you can even make, but okay, let's make a nice border like this. That's fine. Wow, that's nice. I wanted to make a rectangle, but now I'm just going to do that. I'll go to edit undo first because I want it on the other side. Okay, so I want it on the left side. So I'm going to take this select this red one here, the node with the red, and I'm going to just move it. Then we'll go to this convert here and change it. We'll say convert to smart, or you convert to smooth. So we'll take convert to smart and we'll move the handle so that we can convert it to, we can change the shape, and we'll leave that. Get your photographic image, select the photographic image, click on edit, copy, and we'll come back to this document, and we're going to say edit, paste. Remember, it's a very large file. Press the Ctrl key on your keyboard and drag the edges of the image until it resizes. I'm going to rotate so that it becomes a very nice border for me. If you don't want to rotate, that's up to you. Press the Ctrl key again and you can resize as you desire. Sorry. I don't want a white space at the end, so I'm going to press it and okay. So now we have a nice border, but we want it to clip into this design that we've made. So I'll duplicate it just for safety in case I make a mistake, I don't have to start all over again. And I'll make that duplicated image invisible by unchecking it. Then I'll select the visible image and move it into the curved shape until it clips. It shows in my image that it's been clipped like this. Then I'll release it. Click on the play button so that we can move the image as we desire, especially if it's not how we want it to be, so that we can move it. And make sure I take care of your edges. I don't want the edge to be, I want the image to feel this angle, this diagonal. I don't want it to be. So here we filled it. You can make it too. And if you're making handmade card, you can fill this other side with if you want to fill it with red, you can fill it with red also. If you're making, you can make this other side, you can also fill this side with the image. But let's leave it in white. I think that's nice. Then select the rectangle tool. We want to make a sentiment, so I'm just going to drag the rectangle tool across, fill it with a color of choice. So I filled it with red, and we'll duplicate it and fill it with let me fill it with white. Press the Ctrl key and we'll fill it. Then with the text tool we can write "Be happy." Just going to resize it. Select the same text tool and you can change the font. Let's change this font to Belfast. No. I'm using Park Avenue. Where's it again? Park Avenue BT. It looks too small. This is not white. Let me go back and choose. Oh, sorry, swatches, and I'll fill it with white. Okay. Just trying to fill the small rectangle with white. I don't like this. I want it to be bold. So I'm going to take another font. Okay, I used Blue Ridge Heavy SF. All right. Then I can change the color to red. Hope it's the same red with this. Just going to click on it to make sure. All right, this is the first diagonal. We can make another diagonal. Let's make another diagonal. I'm going to save this. Here's how. Even if you want to put it on top like so, that's all right, but I just want to put it here so that you see the beauty of the diagonal. We can even omit you can change the colors as you desire. So go to File, Save As. I'm going to go to Photographic, diagonal. I know I did one horizontal. Okay, horizontal border card technique. So I'm going to change that to Photographic diagonal. and I'm going to say technique 2. It says me typing. Then I'll click on save. So there we have that, and we're going to make another. You can have your diagonal like this, or you can have it just on only one side. So let's make another diagonal before we make the other. So take your rectangle tool. I'm going to be fast about this one. Fill it with the color of choice. So this time I'm filling with red, because I'm using the same image. And on the transform layer, it's going to be 8, 8, 0, and X, Y axis, and X and Y axis is going to be 0, 0. The layer palette, we are going to duplicate and fill it with white. Press the Ctrl key and we'll just resize with the Ctrl key and drag. Select the red rectangle layer, right click on it and duplicate. Bring it to front. Select the node tool and then select and go to convert to curves on the menu for the node tool here. Click on convert to curves. This time we're just going to move the curve in to just create a nice diagonal here. And then we'll come with our image. We select our image, go to edit, copy. Let me move this backward. We'll come back to our file here and make sure this this diagonal that we created, this border that we created, is activated. Then we'll come to edit and we'll put paste. Press the Ctrl key on your keyboard and we just drag to resize. We're going to rotate to make it fill. If you don't want to rotate, that's all. It's alright. You are the designer. So I'm just going to rotate to make it to fill the design with it. And you can resize by using your Ctrl key on your keyboard. So I'm going to duplicate this image, as I said earlier, in case I make a mistake, I don't have to start all over again, and I'll make the duplicate invisible. Then I'll click on the visible image and move it into the curved design. And here we have it until it clips. So here we have it. This the white rectangle, we can decide to duplicate now if we feel that this is bare or it's kind of blank or want more layering. We can decide to fill it with let me take a dark green this time, or this okay, this is all right. Press the Ctrl key and we just resize it. So now we've used it as a border between two designs. We can get a rectangle tool and just drag across. I'm going to flood fill with white. I'm just going to make a fill it with white, sorry, not flood. And I'll resize it here. Duplicate the small rectangle and fill it. I'll go for my swatches to use the ones that have fill it with red. Then I'll resize it using the Ctrl key on my keyboard. I'll duplicate again if I want to and fill it with white. And then I can resize it again as I desire. With my text tool, I'm still going to use the same sentiment, I'm going to tell it to say be happy, because I want you to be happy. You can resize it manually, or you can go into the font and resize it with the size of the font. So I've used the Control key on my keyboard, press down, and I've dragged as I've pressed down to resize it. Then I've used Apple Boy BNT for the font, and I'll fill the font with this smoke color, grayish, and here we have it. There's the second one. Although I was fast about it, pardon me if I spoke too fast or if I rushed over it, please. So I'm going to save this file, save as. We'll go to Photographic, diagonal border, card technique, and I'll put 2, I'll put 3. Now we have to make the vertical one, and the vertical one is what we are going to, we'll do that in the, when we are designing. That's the one we'll use for the handmade. So let's make a new, let's make the third technique, but the fourth design, which is a vertical border. Go to File, New, Page, type is print, page precept A4, document unit is centimeters, creating on transparent background, so check transparent, uncheck portrait because we want it to be landscape, bleed is 0, then click OK. Select the rectangle tool and just drag across. Fill the rectangle with a color of choice. So I'm going to just fill it with let me pick a brown, let me pick another color. Then on the transform tool here, I'm going to make this 29.7 and we're going to make this 21. X and Y axis 0, 0. So that it fits. Layer palette will duplicate and fill it with white. I'm just going to use the Control key on my keyboard to and drag across and drag the cursor diagonally to resize on all 4 sides. Then we can go to transform and see okay, so this one is 29 points. So it's 29.70 and this one. Okay, I was kind of confused a bit. All right. So I'll duplicate this white layer, the white rectangle again, and fill it with red. Use the Control key and just manually resize. I'm going to make this red one 10 centimeters. Do I really need that? Okay, let's leave it like that and just work on another layer. So I'll go to the first layer, which is the mauve or dull purple. I'm going to duplicate it and bring it to front. I'll just resize it to one side. Then I'm going to go to the second layer, which is the light purple. I'm going to duplicate it and bring it to front. I'll just resize it to one side. I'll just resize it to one side. come to the transform layer and make sure it is 5 centimeters. I'll leave that there. I'll duplicate it again, fill it with white, and resize it. It's going to be 5. Okay, if that's 5 centimeters, I'm going to make this 4.5 centimeters. Then on the, I'll activate a large white rectangle. I want to see the height of it. That's 20.41. Then I'll come back and activate this small white rectangle. Oh, sorry, I just 20.41. I'll activate this white rectangle. Okay, the large white rectangle is 20.41 in height, so the small white rectangle has to be same. Make it 20.41 in height. Then I'll come to the y-axis of the large white rectangle is on 0.3. Then I'll select a small white rectangle and make sure it's on 0.3 so that it matches. Alternatively, we'll just go to the red rectangle, duplicate it and raise it to front. Then just resize it so that it has the same height, but then we have to alter the width to suit us. So I'm just going to alter the width of it. So the width is 3.9, and this one the 4.5. Then let the width be 4 here. Okay, and we'll move it with our with the arrow key on our keyboard. We're going to move the small red rectangle horizontally. So now we have a nice border. I'm going to duplicate. We're going to select these 3 rectangles together, and then we're going to click on duplicate and group. Press the shift key on your keyboard and just move it slightly towards the right hand side. Oh, sorry, to the end right, yes. Then we can duplicate again. With the shift key pressed down, we'll just move it slightly to the left. Then I'll ungroup this duplicated one. I'm going to change the color. I'm going to change one of the color to green. That's the last one. And I'm going to change this one to brown. Oh, sorry, gold. So that when I make reference to it, it's easier for me. This green rectangle now, I'm going to resize it. I'm going to resize it to 4.85. Then I'll select them together and move them towards the press shift key, and I'll move. Oh, I've moved it upward. I'm not supposed to move it. Just move it horizontally This guy's making my work. So if this is 4.85, we'll leave this one at 4.5 and just leave this one there like that. Can select this again. We'll group them. The green rectangle and its coordinating pairs. Duplicate and then move it towards the left to line with that. So I'll select the large dusty purple mauve rectangle, duplicate it and bring it to top. I'm going to resize it to 10 centimeters. And I'll bring it to the middle. I just want to activate the white and I'll go to edit undo. Oh, it's not going to. Okay, I can come in here, layer palette, and I'll activate the large white rectangle. I'll duplicate it, bring it to top, and resize it to about 9 points, and just resize it on top the. And I'll select the red large rectangle, duplicate it, bring it to top, and I'll resize it manually. So we have some vertical borders now that we are going to use. It's time for us to start clipping. So I'll select this large red rectangle, get our photographic image, edit, copy. I'll come in here and say edit, paste. Press the Ctrl key on my keyboard and resize it. This time I'm not going to rotate. I'm going to just resize until I feel okay. I'll duplicate it and make one invisible. Then I'll work with the visible design. Then I'll move it into the red, the large red rectangle, and see, sorry, the large red panel, and see if I like the design, if I like the way the image is placed. If I don't like it, I can click on the play button, activate the image, and move it until it fits properly. Then there's a duplicated image. I'm going to activate it. I'll duplicate it again and make the duplicate invisible. I'll activate the visible image. Flip or horizontal. You can click on layer palette, alignment, transform, to flip it horizontally or vertically. Then I'll rotate it and flip. Okay, then we need to resize. Press the Ctrl key on your keyboard and you resize. Now I'm going to make sure I resize. I want to make good use of my image. Okay, I can duplicate this one since I have a nice size already, because I'm going to make it on this other right hand side. So I'll just duplicate it and make it invisible. Then work with this visible image here. On the red panel, I'll make sure it's the right panel I'm working on. Activate that panel. Then this image, we'll move it into, let's bring it up here. So this background image, I'm going to move it into the red panel on the left to make until it clips nicely as it is there. Then if I want to check the image, I can click on the play button, activate the image, and move it as I desire. Perhaps I want some part to show. I'll do same for this other image, the border at the left, on the left. I will activate it, the image, press the Ctrl key and move it to the other end, then I'll flip. Find the red panel and move the image into until the red panel clips it. Sorry, I moved it wrong. Hope it's okay. So I'll move it into the red panel, just looking for the red, and until it clips it nicely. Click on the play button and let's click on the play button to bring it up here, and let's arrange it. So I'm going to arrange it until I see what there's a part of the specific part that I do like of this image. So I want that part to show. So here it is. So these are the panels. This is going to be the front, this is going to be the inner panel, and this is going to be the this is going to front, inner, and insert. We can also add where to write the sentiments. So I'm going to activate the top layer. I'll drag a rectangle there, select the rectangle tool and drag it across. I'll fill it with a color of choice. So I'll go to my swatches and just fill it with red. Then I'll duplicate it and fill it with white. With a Ctrl key on my keyboard, I'm just going to resize it. It's going to be a blank card. You fill in your sentiment the way you want it to be. I just want a thin border without using stroke. So now this purple, I'm going to change all of them to red. I did something wrong here. Okay, I'm going to click on the white because I didn't ungroup that. Okay, so it's going to still change. Okay, we can just leave that panel red instead of yes, let's leave it red. Let's not change anything. And let me see if I have a nice color to pick from this image. We can use the green. And let's use the green for this too. Okay, so this is how our print is going to be. If you want to make a sentiment for the top, make a sentiment topper, you can just come in here and put a sentiment. I'm going to make let me make it white first. Take the ellipse tool, ellipse shape. Then you can resize it, duplicate, fill it with red, and resize with your Control key if you want to. And then we can come in here and just type a text. So I'm going to just say the same text, be happy. I know I've used this text 3 times today or 4. So resize it, decide the font you want. I'll go for the Apple Boy and fill it with white. I'm just going to select just a sentiment and its tag and group it. So this how it's going to be. When we fold in, we'll score here. In the handmade card, we'll score here, score here, score here, score down, and we'll place the sentiment on top of one of the panels. And this will fold in like a gatefold. So if we are printing, that's how we are printing, except the sentiments. We'll have to omit the sentiment. This is how we are going to print. If you are going to print, then you need to print the sentiment on another page. So let's I want to show the 3D part. That's the dimension of how this card is going to be when we make it handmade. So go to File, New. Oh, before then, let's save our work. I'm going to File, Save As. I'm going to go to Photographic. Let's not corner, this is vertical. So let me look for it. Photographic. It's going to be on V. Okay. Oh, I already have one here, so I'm just going to put 4A. I'm going to save. I'm sure it's a different one. All right, then I'll go to File, New, A3, and I'm going to make sure it's not portrait. Then I'll click on OK. I'm just going to select everything together, and I'm going to come to copy. Then I'll come here, I'll say edit, paste. So over here, I'm going to move this one, edit, undo. Okay, I'm going to move it a bit here. I'm going to change this color to different color so that it do not affect me when I'm working. So this one, I'm going to move it down a bit here, and this is going to come right to top. This one is going to come on top, group, and raise to top. So this is going to come on top the card like so. And this one will be folded in to make a kind of dimension, so that when you open the card, let me zoom in. So this one is going to be in here. It's going to be folded in here, so that when this how it's going to be. Let me delete these ones. I don't think we need these ones. We don't need these ones. This green is going to be in. It's going to help to create the fold in. So the card is going to be like so. And let me come for the sentiment. I'm going to come and say edit, copy, and it's going to be edit, paste. So here is going, this is how the card is going to be by the time. It's going to be like a DL card, but no, but it's going to fold in like a gatefold. That's how the card, the handmade card, is going to be. But it's going to have that dimension. Oh, I think I've deleted that one. I don't know. Okay, it's here. Let me bring it to the front. Here's your partner. I'll bring this to the front. And I'll bring this to the front as usual. So I'm just going to try and so it's going to be like a fold like so when you open it. This is going to be a narrow fold when you open it. It's going to be. Let me see. So I'm going to just resize this a little. This is going to be here like so. Okay. And I'm going to ungroup, and I'm going to ungroup them, then I'll do it to curves. This is not necessary. I'm just trying to show you what we are going to create. Just going to give you a visual of what our design is going to look like when we make it handmade. I'm just going to move the, so we have this. Sorry, I know this is taking your time, but some of us do need this. That's why I'm trying to. So this is how it's going to be when we make the card. This is going to be scored here, and this is going to be the front of the card. It will form and it will close, and you have your sentiment. Then this sentiment is going to be on top. It's going to just enclose it like a ribbon fold. You can insert a ribbon through, or put a card wrap, and then it closes. So this is how the card is going to be when we make the handmade of it. So let's arrange it for print. I want to make sure we make good use of this side. I'll resave this. All I need to do is just delete this other border there, and I'll move this to make sure it lines properly to make good use of the page. Select this vertical border on the right, the slim border, duplicate it, press my shift key down and just move it sideways towards the right, sorry, towards the left. I'll do same for the vertical border on the left. Group it, duplicate it, press the shift key down and just move it towards the right. So this is what we are going to print, and after we print that, I will activate the sentiment and print the sentiment separately. Perhaps I can still print another sheet like this, or alternatively we can alternatively we can just mute the, I'm trying to see, make all those ones invisible, and you print, make sure this mirrors. Alternatively, we can have this as a print. You can make any print you want. Let me select the white of this and fill it with something. Let me fill it with the green. And we can cut a white, when we are cutting it, we can cut another white border around it. So alternatively, you can have the print like so, or you can have it as we did previously. So let's save this. I think this one is better for us. I'm just going to move this. So here we have what we are going to print. I'm going to save it as file, save as, sorry, not file, save as, file, export, whole document, and we'll export it in JPEG, and we'll say photographic vertical border card print A4. A4 A41. We can have it like this, save, or we can go the other, I'm going to save to decide, and then I'll decide which one. Then I'll come here and tell it to flip. And I'll move it to line properly its own back. Or we can print it like so and do the top part separately. So I'll make this can give us if we decide to put this as the inner, that's fine. So I'll go to file, export, and we'll export it whole document, JPEG. We export it and we'll say, sorry, okay, that is going to be print A4 card, print A4 2. We can now decide which one we want. So I'm going to save it. File, I'll save as, and I'll come here, I'll say print A4, so that I have it in Affinity format. Then I can, anytime I like, I can go and decide which of them I want to print. So let's meet on the work. So let's meet on the work surface. So here I've made a new file, A1 page, and copied all the techniques that we've done. I've copied them and I've pasted them here. There's the horizontal, this is the diagonal, and then we have the vertical, and this is the card we are building. So let's meet on the work surface where we make this handmade card. We are now on the work surface to make the handmade vertical border greeting card. So to make the greeting card, we need a paper trimmer or guillotine. We need liquid glue, foam pads if you desire, but you can still use only the liquid glue. You need scissors, plain scissors, and decorative edge scissors. You need a scoreboard. This is Crafters Companion big score. I think it's written here. Big scoreboard. One side is inches, and the other side is okay. This is the inches side. This side of measuring with grooves on. Okay, the grooves on inches here, and this side is centimeter. You need it with a scoring tool. You can use any scoreboard you have. You need your base card with a logo printed on it. So I have mine here. You need a printable, either of them. You can decide which one you want. You need a contrast color card and another white card for layering, matting and layering. So bring in this cardboard, and the first side I will use is a centimeter, the centimeters groove. With your card, let me put this one aside so that it will not distract us. So we use the centimeters groove. With your card facing down, we're going to score on the front and on the back. There's the back. We're going to score on the back and then we'll score on the front so that it gives us a nice crisp fold. I'll score the first line. The first line I'll score on is the 5 centimeters. So here it is. And I'll flip horizontally and score on the 5 centimeters of the other end. That's 6, that's 5. So now we have 2 scored lines. I'm going to flip vertically now and score on the 5 centimeters to make that crease, to make the to give a definition, more definition on the crease. And I've noticed that when you score on the back and on the front of the same crease, it helps to really break the card. That when you fold, you hardly have some bumps at the end. Gives a nice crease. You can see it. Before you even press down and burnish, you have that nice crease because you've put pressure from the back and the front of the card. Okay, so the next line, we'll flip the board to the inches part. Supposed to score on the 4.8 centimeters groove, but since the scoreboard do not have 4.8, it's just 4.5. So we use the inches part and we'll go to 3 that's a groove. I don't know what, I'm not a mathematician, so I don't know what they call that thing, but I'm just going to show you the line there. This is the line before the little line before the 4-inch line. That's the line I'm going to score this on for the second, to make the second vertical panel. And I'll flip my card horizontally to repeat same at the other side of the card. Then I'll flip vertically to repeat that same groove. Okay, I just want you to see the lines. Then, okay, I have not scored this side. Okay, repeated it on this side. So here we have it. We've scored on it. I'm going to put this aside. This side is here is 10 centimeters. Here is 4.8, and here is 4. That's 5. 4.8, 10, 4.85. All in centimeters. If you don't have the scoreboard, you can use. If you have the easy score, mine's so far off now, but I'll quickly go and get it. You can use the easy score and you fold, or you can score on A4 trifold. And when you score on an A4 trifold, you can fold it in threes. And then on the first and the last flap, you score on half, so that you can have the design we intend to make. So here is even the card without burnishing the lines. I'm not going to burnish the lines to make it pointy. They're not too sharp that it can cut someone's hands or fingers. I know I do have paper cut from time to time. So here's our card. We're not going to cut the panels for the card, but before we cut the panel, the first panel we use is the red, and then we'll cut the white to layer it, and then we'll cut out our design from inside this panel. So for this, I think I'll be using this. I'll be using this instead. So let's put this aside, the scoreboard aside, and get our guillotine. I'm using the paper trimmer part of the guillotine. If this side is 5 centimeters, so here is the easy score. Before we use the, if you put here, you find out that it's on the DL. Okay, on the easy score, it's on the DL fold. You can score it there, and when you flip, you use the DL fold, and you can use, okay, the A5 gate fold is going to be smaller in line. If you take a look at it, let's go closer. The A5 gate fold is going to be smaller, but the main score line, to fold it in 3, to divide it in 3 in as 1/3, is the DL fold. Or if you have another score, but I think there's another one, you can use the A4 trifold. So let's score. This side is 5 centimeters, and I like to remove first. Before we do that, I can't remember when we are designing, so I'm going to cut out one of these and find out how many centimeters. I don't think I can do that. We can use this, we can measure down by cutting from this, from the design down to the, so I just cut from the design first. Make sure I line it properly. And we can use from that to measure down our measure. Because I forgot to tell my printer to print borderless, so it has added its own border, and I think my design has been reduced. I don't know, but just to be safe, that's why I'm doing this. This is like about 3 centimeters. I can use this one and just measure from one to the other now. No. So if it's on 18 here, it's like 3.5. 1, 1, 2, 3, and 5. So this 3.5. So I'll trim this left to the insert. Trim all around the borders. So we've trimmed the insert. This is the insert, and these are the ones we'll be working with. Let me move those ones to the right. Then this is our topper. For the topper, just going to use the scissors so that when we start gluing, there's no looking back. So for the topper, I'll just trim around the green. Oh, let me trim around the red. Let's move it. So we can layer it on the green. Can layer it on the green and then on the white. Yes, that's going to be nice. So we don't need it guillotine anymore or paper trimmer. I'm gonna put it down and we'll start working. I'll glue the topper first. I don't want to misplace it in this as we are working. So I'll glue it to the green. Trim around it to create a nice border. You can use a decorative edge scissors if you want to. But this time I'm not going to use decorative edge. I'm just going to use my... Oh, I think I made a mistake. Okay, what I'm going to do, this is not that down, I'm going to stick it down to the other side and trim properly. Then we'll glue it to the white. So keep this aside so as not to lose it. Now for this, we'll start with the let's work on the middle. We can start from, okay, let's start from the insert here and move on. I've already done some pre-cut some, so I'm going to give you the measurements as we progress. So I've pre-cut some of the to save time, I've pre-cut them, and I'm going to give you the measurement as we glue down. I've done the pre-cut for the contrasting card to do the material layering. For the, you know, the center is supposed to be, it measures 10 centimeter, but because of this core line, we've lost some centimeters from it, like some points from it. So this middle flap for the insert for the red, the height is 21 centimeter and the width is 9.7 centimeter. So let's glue that down first. 21 by 9.7 in centimeters, please. This white card for layering is in height is 19.9 and in width is 9.2. 19.9 by 9.2 centimeters, please. So place that down and leave a nice border. We can, when we are layering this, we use this edge here to maybe line up and down of it. The height of this white is going to be the same height when we are layering here and here on the flaps. So now the pattern is 8.6 by 19.3 centimeters. I think I gave one the height. The height is longer than the width in the card. So if the figure is higher than is higher in value, you know that's for the height, because it's a vertical border card. Okay, we've done that. We need to, let's take a closer look at it. So we need to do the flap. I'm going to work on these inner flaps first. So for the inner flap, let me make sure I'm using the right one. It's going to be the green. I think this is going to be okay, and this is going to be the white. Just want to make sure I'm picking the right one. Okay, for this inner flap, the green is the green is 4.6 by 21 centimeters. And the white is 4 centimeters in width by 19.9 in height. Then the red is 3.5 in width by 19.3 in height. I'll still put the information on the video. That's the description when I'll put it on the description. So we finished the inner flap. So I just want to arrange this properly. Okay, we finished the inner flap of the card. Now we are going to do the outer flap of the card. For the outer flap, still looking for, okay, the other printable is here. I was looking for it. And okay, that's opposite. I think this is how it goes. Okay. So the red goes to the bottom first, so we're going to start with that and pattern be on top. The red is 4.9 in width by 21 centimeters in height. 4.9 by 21 centimeters. For the white matte is going is 4.3 by 19.9 centimeters. So the width is 4.3 and the height is 19.9 centimeters. And then we have the pattern. The pattern is 3.9 by 19.3. Why the size of the pattern changed is because we printed with a printer that and forgot to change it to borderless. If you have a printer that do not print borderless, this is good too. Also, okay, this is for this side. So now we have the card. Here is it, and it folds and opens like so. We've not forgotten about the topper. If you want to, you can put foam pad and just place it. It can be down, it can be up, it can be in the middle. Some people do place it and put a string of ribbon around so that you can tie it. You just glue this ribbon. Just glue the ribbon at the back, just strand at the back here. You just glue the ribbon strip to the back and then bring both the left side tail and the right side tail over and tie it while this before they place the topper on it. It's optional. If you don't want to use ribbon, that's fine. But for this project, I'm not using ribbon. If you want to use foam pads, then you can put it on just one side. Make sure you know where you're putting it so that you don't put it on the other side and close your work. You want your work of art or your greeting cards to open so that someone can scribble their verse in there or the words they want to say. Alternatively, you can use glue. You can use liquid glue. You just put it on just a few parts of this, not even up to half. You just put it on maybe at the back. You put it at the back, just little there, and then you glue it. But I will use glue Did I use glue? I'll use foam on the roll, sticky foam pad, and I just place it on one side. I'll make sure it don't come out of the tab or the topper, the sentiment, and then peel it, place it on one side. To make sure I place it on one side too, I can just put my hand and lift only the part up and then place it where I want it to be. Before I press down, I'll make sure. So here's our card. So here's our card, and this is how it opens, and this how we've used it as a vertical border. We've mirrored the vertical border. We use it as a border inside, and we use it as a border outside. Although it's an inset, we also use it as a border here. This is more of an aperture. Okay. Thanks for joining me for this video of 12 crafts of card making, the technique of digital craft, a focus on photographic cards used as a vertical border in this handmade greeting card design. You can visit the blog anino.ogunjobi.com to see what's happening in the crafting industry or to keep up with what's happening in the crafting industry.